that can, help you get rid of that self-doubt and help
Yeah.
you, get you to the path that you need to be on.
Hey players, welcome back to the Slaying Self Doubt YouTube channel. Here is where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to walk into their God given purpose. How do we do that, you ask? Well, we create safe and brave spaces just like this for Black women to show up authentically as themselves. So join me and sometimes some of my friends or our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I am Coach Felicia, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of Slaying Self Doubt Podcast. I am here with Alicia Carroll from Optimize Reality. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey.
How are you? How are you? So y'all know that I like to give a little background. So if you have been following me last year, the person who created the Slang Self Doubt branding, colors, and logo, LaShawn Draher, she dropped an app called the Black Women Hustle app, and that is a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs, Black women entrepreneurs, to be able to advertise, collaborate, get education, network, celebrate, communicate, whatever other eights. We do it all in there, okay? And so there's an opportunity for you to post something in the app. And so your girl posted and see if anybody wanted to collaborate and do a podcast. And Alicia was one of the first who said, yeah, girl, sign me up. And so, first of all, I just got to say thank you to LaShawn for creating
Yes.
the app for us to be able to have this space. And we were talking offline about how supportive, LaShawn is just
Yes.
in real life. And if you guys saw the live that I did with her a couple of months ago when she first dropped it, we talked about that there. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's on my Instagram page. And if you are a Black woman entrepreneur and you want in, you can, I put the link in the show notes, but you can use the word slay and you get 50% off. And so she was dope for
There's
doing
literally
that for
no
me.
reason.
Yeah,
There's no reason
there
why.
is no reason why. And I want y'all to know, like, this is not an ad or this is not a sponsorship or anything like that. It is legit my own real experience. And so, sharing is caring, right? I am not a
Hmm.
gatekeeper. Y'all already know that. But so I'm just grateful, Alicia, that you are here. And so we're going to get into all the things. So before we get
Let's do
started,
it.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yeah, so I am in marketing analytics, and that is what optimized reality is about. And to be honest with you, I fell into marketing analytics. My degree is in engineering. Um,
Okay, then.
and and I was after I had my son, I was just desperate to find a job, and I was applying literally everywhere. I
Mhm.
applied to be in like operations at a butcher shop at one point. And they
I'm
were like,
sorry.
ma'am,
You mean like a
you're
a butcher manager, or you was gonna cut the meat?
I wasn't gonna cut the meat.
Oh.
I was gonna help the operation to
Oh,
help
okay,
them cut
got
the
it.
meat.
Okay, got it, got it, got it. I mean, hey,
Either way,
listen.
it has nothing to do with what I was doing.
Right. Hey, we sometimes you gotta do something to do something. What the lady say in John Q, do something, John. There are situations where you just have to do something, okay?
I was at my wits end. It was again, I had my son. Um I was on aid, like I was on public aid, and it was like it was not working. And I was just literally applying everywhere. And this marketing analytics position opened up, and I didn't even realize the magnitude of the job, like of the
Mm,
position that I had. But I was doing, and I had no idea about anything related to marketing,
mm-hmm.
analytics, advertising. I was doing search campaigns for YSL, Balenciaga, Stella McCartney, um,
Wow.
Nestle. I was like one of the first to launch the Facebook ads when they first came out for Sprint, Boost Mobile, Virgin
Wow.
Mobile.
Oh, so you got some
Um,
experience. She telling y'all she know what she doing.
yes,
Okay.
I am not new to this. I am true to this. I've been doing
Yes.
this for 13 years, and it's been amazing in terms of like just transitioning from advertising over to data.
Mm,
Um, and so that's what I do in my day job on a regular basis, like for a major government account. I'm doing all of the performance and analytics for them right now. And the passion and the purpose that God put on my heart is that what you're doing for these 6, 7, 8 figure brands,
Yeah.
they could be applied to entrepreneurs. Like they
Yeah.
could be applied to small and medium businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a true passion for just female entrepreneurs and females in general, especially Black women. And I'm like, I am sitting on a gold mine of information
Yeah.
that people feel like they either don't understand, they don't know that it even exists, and they don't know that they can do it with the business that they have, how small or medium or large it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's my position to provide that information to them and provide that support and let them know that if you do not have an understanding of your data in your business, you can't grow, you can't sustain, you can't
That's
get to
facts.
the levels that you want to get to. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, fell into marketing analytics. It kind of just spiraled into something great. And now I just want to pour back into Black women and Black entrepreneurs and give them the information that I've developed and I've gathered over the last 13 years.
Yeah, that's so dope. So something that came up for me when you were talking just made me
Mm-hmm.
think about recently. My pastor is doing a new series at the start of the year, and he was just saying how like when basically when God formed us, like he knew exactly what he wanted us to do. So a lot of times we
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, it just happened," right? But
Yeah.
it didn't just happen. Like you were
Mm-hmm.
made for an assignment. And he was
Yes.
just sharing like you are the answer to
Yes.
whatever the issue is, right? And so, he said over the years, like whatever burdens you, whatever that thing is, that you're
Mm-hmm.
like, why don't people know this? Or you get so upset about the fact that people aren't doing those things. Like that's how you know what your purpose is, or at least something
Yes.
that you're very passionate about. And you sometimes you got to like tweak it, right? Like you don't know exactly what it is. Like even what you're saying, like
Yes.
the marketing part, now you're like, okay, well now I didn't narrow it all the way down to like it's the data, right? Like this is the
Yes.
stuff that you need to know. And so, but once you're in it, then you're able to actually start figuring it out. But I think a lot of times, like you said, but in addition to that, I think that you have to be doing something
Yeah.
in order to figure out what it is that really gets you going, because there's clues along our lives. Like we can think back
Yes.
to teen. I've had plenty of people on here. It's like I can think back to being in my teens and like this was something that just it made sense to me, but it didn't make sense to everybody else. Or people would ask me these
Yes.
questions as if I knew, and I'd be like, "What? Why are you asking me?" But it's like because they already whatever it is, like you are already the answer. So I said that because when you were like, I just kind of fell into it and it just made me think,
Mhm.
no, nothing is by accident, right? Like
Yes.
this is what, and you said it like this is what I'm purposed to do, which means it was already in you.
Yes.
And I think that that's part of going through this journey of life is that there are things already planted inside of us
Yes.
that situations, circumstances, and your situation and circumstance is what pulled it out,
Yes.
right? Like you was like, okay, I
Yes.
got to do something. You know what? I'm gonna go that way. And so
Yes.
then here we are, right? That's the
Here
that's
we
the
are.
start of it. Here we are. Um, so how has self doubt showed up in your journey?
Yeah, so I feel like self-doubt really started to show up in college.
Mm,
So as a child, like I was the smart kid and my mother robbed Peter to pay Paul, and Paul was my private school that she would, always make sure that I was in.
yeah,
Um, I was the smartest kid and, I wasn't I didn't have an ego at the time, but I'm like, I'm a smart kid and I
yeah,
love school and I love learning. And I went to Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois, and everybody's smart. Like everybody is smart. And
yeah.
so I'm like, oh, I'm one of thousands here. And so it was like I had a full identity crisis
Mm,
where I was like, my mom put me on this pedestal and I was knocked off the pedestal.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't know if I wanted to show up as that smart, nerdy girl. I didn't know if I wanted to show up as, Alicia from the west side of
Right.
Chicago.
Right.
Don't mess with me.
Mhm.
I just went through this whole thing, and um I always doubted myself in that space. And then I also especially doubted myself, one, after I had my son and as I was starting to look for a job. I was like,
Mhm.
even though I got an engineering degree and I got it from an amazing school, I was like, I don't, I didn't do the things that, the other engineering kids did. I got my engineering degree in 3 years. Everybody else, they did it in 5 years. They did all of these like co-op and internship positions so they could work at Ford, they could work at these bigger companies.
Mhm.
But I'm over here with a 6 month old and just dropped out of grad school, just lost my father, and I'm not qualified to
Yeah.
do engineering. I can't do engineering. And then moving into marketing analytics, I don't know the first thing about marketing
Yeah,
or
right.
analytics. Like, I don't know how to do any of this.
Yeah.
But I think that the amazing thing that you just mentioned it, but also the amazing thing about God is that he called me to these places
Mm.
and he equipped me as I went on.
Yeah.
And I had such amazing people. I had amazing mentors. I had amazing sponsors, the people who put my name in rooms where I wasn't.
Yeah.
And he just set that up in such a divine way that, like, I started and every year I got promoted. Every year I got promoted and other opportunities would show up. And I would tell myself, like, oh, I just want to do analytics. Like, this is before I was even doing like anything related to analytics. It was more so marketing and advertising strategy. And I was like, I want to do something with analytics and I want to do it across all marketing.
Mm.
And it just kind of like during the pandemic, I like my company merged into another company
Mhm.
and everything shifted, and I just got this opportunity where it's like, oh, we have this government account, it's new, and we are building up an analytics team, and it's across all marketing. And I'm like,
Wow. Wow.
oh, okay. And it didn't even dawn on me that like what I
Pray
said,
for it. Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
prayed for was
Yeah.
like coming to pass. And then 2 years later, I was like, oh, this is it.
This
This is it.
then it hits you. Listen, I say often that we don't. I said on I think last week's or
Mm,
the episode that I have recorded recently that sometimes being discontent, we don't realize that we're living in an answered prayer, right? Because
yes.
we're looking for like the final fix. Like, how am I know that
Yes.
this is it? We're looking for more. I need to do this. I need to do that. And so that made me think that. But also, I wanted to go back to what you said about being in
Mhm.
school. I think that is thank you for sharing that because I think that's an
Yeah.
important thing for us to continue to have a conversation with about with our kids. I think specifically we see it in other cultures, right? Where, they are like hard on their kids. We've seen the
Yes.
results of it. They are and it feels like a failure, but there's a reason. We know that there's a reason. Some of it's cultural, whatever have you. What you're so required to do that your family
Yeah.
feels like that this is what I put into you.
Mhm.
And even for myself, like when I remember my son having my oldest son, he's a great student, always has
Mhm.
been, generally, principals list, all that stuff. And one day
Yeah.
he had like a whole breakdown in like middle school, and I was like, what is going on? And so he
Yeah.
just it was like the way he expressed it was kind of like, I'm just trying to do everything right. And I had to tell him, I don't expect that from you. What I do expect is your best, right? And
Yes.
if your best happens to be straight A's, great. But if your best is A's and B's, that's okay too. Like, as long as you're doing it, like, but you have to want it. I can't want it for you, right? And so
Yes.
I don't want anything that like, I don't want anything from me or, your dad or your stepdad to make you feel like you
Mhm.
have to be way up here because,
Yes.
like you said, baby, once you get out these doors,
Everything
everything is going to change, and so I
is
need
going
you.
to
And
change.
so he's in high school, and I think once he hit high school, and he was just like, I ain't in these classes, and I was like, well, some of it has to do with what you did leading up to it, right? Like you had to
Yeah.
take this test. I told you finish the test. You
Mm-hmm.
want to be so perfect, you didn't finish the test. Well, there's a
Yep.
result to not finishing the test. You
Yep.
don't get in those AP classes, in these honor classes,
You
because
got to finish it. Yeah.
they don't know. And he was like, "Oh, I guess you're right. Okay, yeah." So now you got to work a little harder now to show them like I do know these things, but also like don't put so much pressure on yourself to do
Yeah.
like what do you really want to do? Don't leave it up to us. But like you said, like that, I think, and I do believe that we are of a generation, our generation. Um, we're reparenting ourselves and we're doing the work to kind of like okay, not to say, we know our parents did the best that they could with what they had and
Yeah.
they did not do a bad job. However, there's some things that we could tweak, right? And so,
Exactly.
the gentle parent-ish stuff that's, we're going around is like what I don't want you to be doing is being like me as an adult, trying to
Yes.
refigure things out when I can just do it better the first time around, right? And so,
Yeah. You
and
actually, you just mentioned it. And I feel like I am your son, how he was in middle school,
mm,
where I'm like, I'm trying to do all the things. Like, that's been such a, like in the last few months, like that's been just a big thing for me, and that God has been revealing to me. Like, I've been trying to do all the things for the last 13 years
yeah,
since
yeah,
I had my son. And I feel like I have to do and do and do. And it's like, all you have to do is exist,
yeah.
because you don't have to do to prove your value. You could just,
Mm-hmm,
you have the
mm,
value. You
mm.
have the value. So, like, just know that you have the value and move according to that value that God already
Yeah,
put in you.
yeah,
And so I think it's like, to your point, I am reparenting myself and kind of giving myself the words that you gave your son. Like, you don't have to do everything,
yeah,
just do your best.
yeah.
And I haven't come to grips with it yet, but I started the journey.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I
that's what
know for
matters the
real.
most.
Listen, this is a daily thing, just like exercising and doing and
Yes.
changing any habit, right? Because I
Yes.
think that when I started this slaying self doubt journey, it was kind of this thing that I didn't realize that it was birthed out of me, right? Like when I tell you, it took me like like literally this year when we just started this year, or like last year, the end of last year, to realize that this was me. Like this
Yeah.
is like when people are doing entrepreneurship, it's like, oh, you need to find your target, not your ideal client, right? Like what it,
Yep.
and every time I kept saying, well, when people would say, I'm like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. And then finally I was like, oh no, it's me in
It's
2017.
me.
It's me in 96. It's me in,
Yep.
2001. Like this is all of this has been me and it's been showing up in different ways. And
Yep.
now I'm having to say, okay, what is that I'm feeling? What is that's
Mm-hmm.
happening? And even you saying that, like, I think having to be honest with ourselves to say, like, I'm trying to do all the things and I realize I
Yep.
can't. And we're not meant to do all the things, right?
Exactly.
Some stuff is some stuff is our kids' responsibilities. Like we're not even going, we can have a whole
Mm-hmm.
conversation about the fact
Mm-hmm.
I wrote something on the board because I told my husband, I was like, I am just the fact that I feel like I take the dishes out of the dishwasher at least 8 times a day. That's an exaggeration, but it feels like it. Like morning, take the dishes out. By the evening,
Yes.
I'm like, why am I doing this?
Why am
I'm
I
not
the
the only
one?
person that eats. Like I may be the one that cooks, but I'm not the only. So I put something on the board, and the kids was like, "Well, why is my name up here? Because you're gonna do the dishes and you're gonna clean the." And I was like, by this
Yes.
age, my kids are 14 and 16. Me and my
Yeah.
sister was cleaning the entire house by ourselves by the time we were teenagers. My mother would never. She would be like, I'm going out. This house better smell clean when I get back. We would be like, what does smell clean? She would walk in the house and be like, it don't smell clean in here.
If you don't smell that pine sol, if you don't smell that pine
If
sol,
I can't smell that soft scrub, that Comet, and that Pantone, it is not clean. And I know now, right? Like what that means. Like I know it now to walk in the house like it smells clean in here. Like I
you
get
seen
it,
that,
right?
didn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but I had to realize like it's not all on me. And I have people, I have to use I used to say this in my previous job, I would be like eliminate and delegate, right? I learned that in some leadership meeting was like some things you got to eliminate and some things you got to delegate.
Mm-hmm.
I think oftentimes as Black women, as moms, as wives, as mothers, as uh employees, as
Yep.
entrepreneurs, we feel like let's just take it. Going back to what my pastor was talking about, he was saying that like women are built to support, right? And he was just using the I'd have to explain it all. But anyway, he was talking about because we was made from the rib, the rib
Yeah.
cage supports the body, and without the rib, all of that. So
Mhm.
he's like, think about the fact that you're built to support.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it in the way of like marriage and like how you're supporting your spouse, and you can't
Mhm.
be against them and all sorts of stuff. But anyway,
Yep.
I thought about that and think about that's what we think we're doing. We think that
Yes.
we're supporting everybody,
Yep.
but in some ways we're enabling people.
We're enabling.
And
Yes.
so what we look at is like, don't worry about it, I got it. Don't worry about it, I
Yep.
got it. Don't worry about it, I got it. No, you got it. I don't
Yes.
I had somebody on the show one day that said, I don't want to have it all the time.
I finally got to that place. I finally got to that place. I feel like I was like, I have to do this. I have to say yes to this
Yeah.
person
Mm-hmm.
because they need me.
Mm.
And that's how I got started in therapy because I told too many people that I was going to show up.
Yeah.
And the one person I didn't tell myself that I was going to show up
Yeah.
for myself.
No,
I
that's
showed up
real.
for literally everybody and had a mental breakdown. And my good friend recommended therapy, and it kind of got me out of that place. And now I'm still, working through the doing. Like I
Yeah.
less for others, but it's still like I still keep myself busy. And it's like you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be busy for what?
No, no. And
It's not necessary.
like us, like we said earlier, like it's a journey. It's going to take time for us
Mm-hmm.
to break those habits. I always say that, I didn't expect for me to leave my living to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord knew. I spent too much time. I said
Yeah.
earlier, my job was a 25/8, and I'm not like that. It wasn't, my phone never stopped ringing. Like it never,
Yeah.
and I felt like I could never. I always tell this story that I went on my honeymoon and came back to like 80 something text messages and
Oh
voicemails. And I was
God.
like, bruh, y'all knew I was gone. Like, I don't
You couldn't
understand.
figure it out yourself?
Like, you knew. And every message was like, Felicia, we know you on your honeymoon, but I can't
But
I'm out the country. I can't even help you. Why are you even leaving this message? Like, but it
oh
was
my
because
God.
I had made them feel like they had to tell me, they had to call me,
Yep.
they had to do something. I I didn't talk to y'all for 7 days. I mean, clearly the place didn't break down. Y'all all came back to work. Nobody got fired or nothing crazy
Everybody's
happened.
alive.
But like you said, I had created that pattern where they were like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta. Whereas now I'm like, I didn't realize I needed this long of a break to basically
Yeah.
deprogram myself so that when I go into this new space, I could be like,
Nope.
let me tell you what we're
Nope.
not about to do. Well, if I tell you I'm off, don't even, you
We're
don't
done.
mention my name even outside of this. Okay. Don't even think about me while I'm off. I don't even want you to think about it. But I had to get to a place where I was able to safely put those boundaries around myself. I was
Yes.
also going to say, Jesus in therapy. I always say therapy, y'all
Yes.
know, oftentimes I tell you, like, therapy's not just about trauma. It's not just about something
Yeah.
happened and I have to, sometimes it's just, I need a third party to tell me, am I tripping? Or
Yes.
like to affirm or validate or to correct, right? Like, that is what it's for. Or because at the end of the day, we said this in the beginning, we have everything that we need. It's already in us.
Yes.
And all you're learning is coping mechanisms. Like I had a
Yes.
appointment a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I could tell that when she asked, like, what is the goal? I said, my goal is that I already know these things are gonna happen. I just don't need
Mm-hmm.
it to take 7 days. It just takes
Yeah.
too long for me to like get myself back together, right? And so I'm like, if I can get it to like 3 days, I'm good, right? Like let me go through whatever I'm gonna go through, but I need to bring it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's some now I'm noticing in some situations, like it ain't even 20 minutes. I'm able to self-correct,
Yes.
be able to cope, be able to use the skills that I've been given and be like, hey, look at me all
Yes.
grown up, right? Like,
Yes.
and so I be like, listen, I'm an advocate for therapy all the time. So I already told her the
Yes.
same way you go to the doctors, the same way you check it, you have
It's
to check
another
it.
doctor.
It's another doctor. I was like, this is a part of. I told her I know some people go when they in. I said, baby, you with me for life. You gotta fire me. That's because I'm
Yes.
not going nowhere. Okay, this is gonna be
Yes.
guaranteed because I can tell you for sure. Just like I say, there's the slant, self doubt at different
Hmm.
levels. It's going to continue to happen, and so
Yep.
everything as I'm going through life and things are happening, I have
Hmm.
that safe space to be able to share with somebody like this is what I'm thinking. This is the things that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Let me know what's going on. So
Yes.
I
My
commend you for all of
therapist,
that.
yeah, my therapist just got me together last week because I took 3 weeks off of work. And after week two, I was like, it's time to start doing stuff. Like I just put together this full task list and I got about 8 things on my task list for the next 7 days. And she was like, why are you doing that? I was like, I'm well rested. I feel great. She was like, that's not the truth. Let's start there. And you're just accustomed to doing.
Doing, yep.
And the fact that you have been sitting for so long, it is uncomfortable for you,
Mm, mm,
but
mm.
you need to do it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do anything. You just need to be.
Be
And I'm like, just be. And I don't know how to just be.
Listen,
I
I'm
don't know
telling
how
you,
to
the
just
Lord
be.
do bruh, I promise you. Oh my gosh. People always say, I know that people that y'all, my listeners, I know y'all think that I promise you I'll be telling the truth whenever I say whoever God has me recording with on
Mm-hmm.
no matter when the show airs, the day that I am recording, it is always in alignment. So going back, because y'all at this point, I don't know when y'all listen to this, but it is January the 10th. Okay. So I'm just go ahead. All right. So my pastor, in the same sermon,
Mm-hmm.
was saying like we think we're human doings, not human beings.
Yes.
Like he
Yes.
created human beings, not human
Yes.
doings. Just be. And that is the hardest thing for us to do
It's
because you
so
know what?
hard.
It requires self-reflection sometimes. It requires
Yes.
silence. It requires you to
The
feel your
silence.
feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's uncomfortable. And I think that
Yes.
too many of us hate being uncomfortable. And so we just like, I don't, I'd rather go do
Let me
this.
just do this. I
Let me
gotta do
do this.
this.
And I have
Yep.
learned to intentionally be uncomfortable. Monday is my like reset day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, no social media. I'm intentional about I'm gonna listen to praise and worship all day. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I haven't caught up on the housewives, I try to start with a sermon, then the housewife. Like I kind of go back and forth while but I use that time. Like if I'm folding clothes, sometimes it'll be silent. And I just kind
Yeah.
of let myself just like whatever thoughts. And I think also that helps with, for me anyway, anybody who deals with any type of anxiety or
Mm-hmm.
negative self-talk and all of those different things, it helps me actually to address whatever the thought is and be able to like, girl, that ain't true. Or
Yeah.
I talk to myself, and then be
All the
like, so
time.
this is the whatever, whatever. But that stillness and that quietness allows me to
Yes.
get some of that uneasiness that I'm walking around because that's what we're doing. We're walking around just so uptight, just
Yes.
because of life,
Oh
not
my
anything
God.
personal, but it's just life.
You just said that. Okay. The way that this is aligning for you is aligning for me. So just yesterday, I was talking to my therapist and I'm like, I take myself way too seriously. Like life is just so unserious.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I need to get back to joy and happiness and not taking everything so seriously. It's not
Yeah,
for what? I feel like it's just exhausted energy
yeah,
for no reason. Like
yeah.
you could, and we know who we are. We can still we can be unserious about things and still
Mm-hmm.
get things done. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
the space that I want to move to. Like I don't have to be uptight. I don't have to, do every single thing, be
Yep.
responsible for everything, show up for every single person. I just can be myself, be authentically myself,
Yeah.
and the responsibilities will still get taken care of because
Absolutely.
it's just who I am. And also, it's the people around me. It's
Yeah.
making sure that I'm holding them accountable just as much as I'm holding myself accountable.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree with that. When you were saying that, it made me think, um, like you have to choose joy. And
Yes.
you think about kids, right? And like, they just have what is so much fun, right? Then they
Yes.
get to a certain age where you're like, stop all that noise or whatever the case. Like we
Yep.
just continue to quiet them down in certain things. My
Yes.
son is 14 and he will still be in the basement, like throwing a bowl around, I don't shadow boxing. I mean, my kids
Yes.
shadow. Now, the only time I be telling them sometimes, like, they gotta chill out. They be in here sometimes doing stuff. Is when we in the store, and we're a
Ah,
Marvel family, and they will be shoo shoo, and I be like, bruh, for real,
can you
like,
keep it down?
and I'm talking about. I say, get that. They be like, okay, and I have to be like, there are moments where I be like, yo, what are you doing? But then I have to say, they're kids. I'm letting
They're
them be
kids.
kids because it's going to
Yes.
come a point in time where that's not going to be fun, and I
Yes.
like they're going to feel like, oh, I'm too old to be
I'm
doing
too
that.
old for this. Yeah.
And I don't want them to feel that way. Like we have to, like you have to choose joy, find joy,
Yes.
and create it. I think that as we
Mm-hmm.
get older, the responsibility just keep piling up, and we
Yes.
just push fun to vacation. That's if you
Yep.
get a vacation. That's if you take off. Then we
Exactly.
push it to holidays. That's if you actually use your holiday time to not to be on
Mm-hmm.
your phone working. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it's so many different things that we could do differently, and I think that
Yes.
this is one of the ways, just like having an honest conversation about it, because I can assure you that somebody listening is saying, yes, like this is the confirmation that I need to plan
Yes.
joy, put something in your schedule to have fun. Like, what are you doing? And it doesn't have to be, I have realized lately people are sick and tired of people on social media now. I think people are starting to, they had
I'm
had it
there.
up to here. Okay. And
I'm there.
so people make it seem like the only way you can have fun is if it's extravagant. And it's like, no, sometimes it's just playing a board
No.
game in the kitchen, but people don't
Yeah.
necessarily, they don't share that on social media, or people don't want to see those type of things because that's not big enough. I want to see like the big
Yeah.
stuff that's happening. And it's like, no, sometimes we had the most fun in here playing we played this. My parents told us how to play this game, Rummy Cube. It's
Mm.
like with these numbers or whatever have you. It's not dominoes because I could not have played those, but they like those shapes and stuff like that. But
Yep.
we'll just do that sometimes, or we'll watch a movie together, or like
Yes.
sometimes it's just simple stuff. But in those moments, like it's fun for us. That's joy.
Yes.
That is our time together. That's our bonding or whatever have you. And we have to do that. We have to do it with the people that we
Yes.
love and for ourselves. Now,
For
I got to find
yourself.
something fun for me. What do
Yes.
I want to do? Right?
And it don't have to be this elaborate trip to Mexico, to Cabo, or to oversea. It don't have to be all that.
Yeah, you would be surprised. I always say, I mean, Maryland is a pretty big state. I know I'm used to
Hmm.
being in the DMV. And even in the DMV, it's stuff that I'd be like, oh, I didn't even know that was over here. Driving my kids to school, be like, they put that over here. And then you be like, oh, there's so much stuff in your area that
Yes.
you can figure it out that at the end of the day, you choose joy on the level you want to choose joy on. That,
Exactly.
but ultimately choose some joy. That is going to
Exactly.
be what we're going to end this part of the conversation with.
Yes.
So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
Um, I think that the biggest thing that I learned, and I mentioned this before, is that my value doesn't come from doing.
Mhm.
My value, it was instilled in me when I was born.
Yeah.
And whether or not I recognize that value, is still there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whether or not I am doubting who I am, I'm still who God called me to be.
Oh.
It's just making sure that I continue to live, or, ask God to show me who He is, who He's called
Mhm.
me to be, and
Mhm.
what He wants me to do. And so I think it's just like, again, kind of moving away from that, like, I'm only valuable to my family if I'm doing this.
Mm.
I'm only valuable to my job if I'm doing all the things for them. That's not
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah.
And I'm valuable regardless. I'm
Yeah.
valuable. That's just, I'm valuable, period. Like that's
Period.
literally it. It doesn't have to come with anything else.
Mhm.
And so that's what I have, and everybody around me, even if I don't see it, everybody around me sees it. I thank God for the people around me. I thank
Yeah.
God for my tribe at work, at home, my family, everybody, because they see my value before I see it.
Mhm.
They're the people who are reiterating it for me. And so the one thing that I do need to work on is making sure that I appreciate the fact that, the people around me are showing me my value, and I thank God for them. I just need to ask God more often for um the ability to see it myself.
Yeah, yeah.
on a
No,
regular
I
basis.
that is so good, and I think that that is an important lesson that we all have to learn, right? Because
Hmm.
life will tear you down,
Yes.
and people, friends, family, situations, jobs. There's so
Hmm.
many things that are I don't want to say intentional. It may not be intentional, but there's so many things that can help that can hinder you from seeing your value, right?
Yes.
Just when things don't work out the way it is. And it's very easy. I think about even as the whole thing with like self-doubt of it being an inner thing. It's just a thought, right? Like it's something
Yep.
that I always say, I heard this in something before, but like what was the first question in the Bible? And people are like, I don't know. And I always say, or I learned rather, that it was the serpent asking Eve, did he really say that? He didn't
Mm.
put anything in her head. He didn't say, God didn't say that you. He asked her a question. He gave her doubt.
Yeah.
That was it. And so all it takes is most of the time it's not anybody else. It may be a circumstance, even as you were saying earlier about you getting your degree, right? And
Hmm.
feeling like I got it in 3 years. Girl, I was over here like I wasn't sure what now. I was supposed to say, yes, 3 years. Okay. Why I take that 5? To me, it sounds like you did what came to be done. Okay. So I don't understand what the issue is, but I also don't understand that you were supposed to do the internships or this other stuff, right?
Hmm.
But when you're looking at it, instead of you saying, yes, I did it in 3, it took them
Yeah.
5, regardless of the extra stuff. You could have spent them, you don't have to be in school for the extra 2 years. You could have done the
Yep.
internships afterwards, right?
Yep.
But what we do is if it doesn't look like everybody else,
Yep.
if it doesn't look like somebody else, we tend to be like, well, did I do enough? Like,
I didn't do it right.
how, I mean, I know we ended up with the same diploma, the same sheet of paper
Right.
from the same institution, but I didn't go the extra mile. Well,
Hmm.
I mean, I think it depends on what your path was and what it was, what you were supposed to do versus the other person, right? But
Yep.
those are the things that end up happening that causes us to question everything that we do. Because then now
Yes.
that starts at, well, am I really an engineer? And so can I get a job
Hmm.
in doing something that I actually spent the time learning, which is
Yep.
not an easy degree to get and work for, but now I'm going, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
it's all of those little seeds that we just continue to plant over and over again. It comes
Yes.
from relationships, right? If a
Yes.
relationship doesn't work out, baby, we know we will quickly be like, what did I do? And now
Yep.
we are picking apart ourselves based off of someone else's decision not to be with us or whatever their decision
Yep.
was, but we make it about us versus saying
Yes.
his loss. Okay.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Moving on.
Now we're saying like, what did I do? What could I have done differently?
Hmm.
Let me change. Let me see. Okay, these are the things. And adults, kids do this, and we
Yeah.
watch it. We grew up to women who continue to do that. When we see moms doing certain things, maybe
Yeah.
I'm not doing enough. Maybe I should be taking my child this way. Maybe they should be doing this. And I mean, it's taken me a while, but I had to get to a place like my kids
Yeah.
ain't everybody else kids, right?
Exactly.
I'm not back to that sermon. He said, you are the only you there will ever be. Even if you have a
Yes.
twin, your twin will never be you. Your kids are never you. We are individuals. So
Yes.
my path isn't going to look like your path, and
Yep.
I have to be okay with that because wherever I end up, it should be purposeful. Right, it
Exactly.
should be where
Exactly.
he wants me to be. But if I'm over here
Hmm.
being like, well, Alicia got all this stuff over here, and she got this and this, that, and the third, like then who is watering my plants, right? Because I'm
Exactly.
over here
Yes.
watering yours, and my joints are just shriveling up because I'm paying attention to you. And so I think
Yep.
that we have to continue. This is one of the things I love about doing these interviews is that
Yeah.
we don't recognize that we don't live nowhere near each other and we be having the same stories, right?
Yes.
We can grow up in different generations, come from different backgrounds, but as women we are walking the same path in some kind of
Yeah.
way where someone else is listening and able to be like, bruh, like this is me, right?
Yeah.
I'm going through the exact same thing, and I'm glad that we're having a conversation about it and people are
Hmm.
starting to get comfortable to hear it, say
Yes.
it. You know what I mean? Like that's why I'd be like, listen, if you gonna come talk to me, I'm gonna get in your business. a little
Right.
bit, right? Now, like I said earlier, now I ain't about the Cat Williams you, and I don't want you Cat
Right.
Williams and me. I ain't telling you out here, light the world on fire, this joint.
Right.
However, we are here to empower other women to be
Yes.
able to say that I'm not by myself. And even though I'm going through this, there is purpose and there's something greater. And what we're showing is that we been watching this movie or this series or something, and it's somebody else's quote, but they said it the only way. What did they say? They said the only way. Oh my gosh, the only way through. Now I'm gonna have to think about it and figure it. It's like
Is it like the only way to it is through it or something like that?
something like that. It's something to that. See,
Yeah.
now I'm gonna have to go look it up because this be the part. Like I hate when my brain works like this because sometimes it be working and sometimes it don't be working.
You can take a little pause. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna find it. But in the meantime, well, I'm gonna go find it. But in the meantime, what I'm
Yes.
gonna ask is, let's talk about all things optimized reality. What is it that you
Yes.
do? What do you offer the people? Who do you help? Who are you called to serve? I heard you say
Yes.
that you have small and medium sized businesses. And you say that, hey y'all, I've been doing these for these Fortune 500 companies. I can do it for
Yes.
you too. So tell
Yes.
us all about it.
Yeah. So optimized reality, I help female entrepreneurs confidently market their business, increase visibility and sales with data and analytics. And I think that, a lot of what has been focused on now and in the past is, the big flashy things, focusing on the marketing strategy, focusing on, you know, implementing like different like AI and
Yeah,
new apps and new
child,
tools and
that
all of
AI
this.
stuff.
Yes, it's like it's nonstop, like always having to do the next big thing. And
Mm.
I think that it's time for us to get back to the basics. And I hear a lot of, marketers and people who help, like coaches who help entrepreneurs. I hear them say, you got to know your numbers. And it's like you're saying this, but what does that mean? Like people
Do
don't
you
know that.
understand the words that are coming out my mouth? No.
People are like, yeah, I know my numbers, I know my sales. It's like there's so many more numbers that you need to understand in order for you to get to the optimal sales that you're looking for. And
Mhm.
that's what I want, and that's what I try to focus in on. And so yes, there is a lot when it comes to the marketing strategy and implementing new things in the marketing strategy and optimizing it and whatnot. But if you don't look at the performance of your business and if you don't take a look at that data and analyze it on a regular basis, you don't even know what's working in your marketing strategy. So what is the point of you even changing?
So let's
And
let's
so,
break this down, right? Because
mhm.
I'm one of those people that's like I hear the words that's coming out your mouth, and it's like, what's that with the Muppet Babies? The mother used to be like, wow, wow, wow,
Wow,
wow.
wow, wow.
Yeah,
Charlie
yeah,
Brown, Charlie
yeah. Oh,
Brown
Charlie
teacher.
Brown. That's what it was. Yeah, Charlie Brown teacher. Like, I hear you, and when people say that and they're saying like, oh, you got to know your numbers, and I'm like, what do that even mean? I mean, I'm looking at
Yeah.
my followers, right? I'm uh looking at when they give you your insights, how many people viewed this and I'm like, what
Yep.
other numbers do I need to pay attention to? And even looking at those numbers, what am I supposed to do with it? So on a very
Yeah.
basic level, let's use some type of example that
Mhm.
you would give somebody that something very layman that everybody will understand no matter where
Yes.
they are in their business.
Yeah. So I'll use optimized reality as the example. So of course, like everybody's end goal, everybody's end number is like a conversion or a sale.
Hmm.
And so if my goal is $50,000 in revenue for 2024, what services do I have in my business and how many of those services do I need to implement in order for me to reach that 50,000?
Okay.
Okay, if it's 12, let's just say it's 12. I can't do math right now, but let's just say it's 12 for 2024. I need to have 12 clients. I need to be working with 12 clients this year in order for me to reach that 50,000 goal. How do I get those 12 people? I'm
Mm.
gonna do different events. So I'm gonna collaborate with LaShawn and Black Women Hustle. I'm going to, become more visible in terms of, becoming like a guest on different podcasts. I'm going to host free webinars. I'm going to run paid ads on Instagram and TikTok and things of that sort. And so from there, it's like I'm able to say I have 12 clients, but I need to reach 1,000 people in order for me to get those 12 clients. And so it's like the
Oh,
numbers, it's like backing up,
back going, yeah,
like
you're,
going backwards, like
yeah,
working backwards to understand the numbers that you need to get in order for you to get that final number.
mm,
And that's the thing. Like people focus in on the conversion and sales numbers, and that's all you see on
yeah,
Instagram. It's like how I made $10,000 in 2 hours. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, that's great, but you know you did a whole bunch of work ahead
right,
of time, but to get there, and you know
yeah,
that there was a lot of numbers that you understood and that you put in place in order for you to do that. And so, in addition to the sales numbers, you have to understand the conversion rates and the numbers that
mm,
you need, the people that you need to reach, the people that who need to apply to work with you, the number of clients that you need to have in order for you to get to that sales number. And that's what I try to help people understand. It's like, let's work backwards from your goal all the way up to your full marketing strategy to see exactly what you need to be focused on in terms
yeah.
of your key success metrics. And you need to be monitoring that on a regular basis and making adjustments in your marketing strategy based on whether or not it's either improving or it's not improving.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's what I really help focus in on.
No, that made so much sense because you see that. Oh, I mean, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
The people just tell you they did this, and you be like, "But how?" And then when you
Exactly.
are, watching it or you're looking at it and you say, "Let me see if I can implement what they're doing," you're
Mm-hmm.
missing pieces because you don't know all of their data and you don't know yours either. But I
Exactly.
love the way you explained it in backwards because I'm saying, okay, you need 12 clients to get it. That makes sense. But then when you were like, but I need to reach 1,000 people, and immediately my brain was like, well, why? And I was like, oh, well, where's she gonna get the 12 from?
Yep.
If you like, you just assume it. And I think there's something on your page. I came out of it that was kind of like, basically to the point of like, where you think these people gonna come from? Like where,
Yeah.
like you, or I've seen people that say that like, you post one post and you expect for everybody to remember that you selling, hoodies. By the way, hoodies are on sale, y'all.
Oh,
Um,
I need to get one.
but I spent like I've had hoodies for years, t-shirts for years that I just assumed everybody knew, right? But I wasn't
People
really
assume.
promoting it.
Yeah.
I wasn't intentional about like let me wear it. Or even if people did
Mm-hmm.
say something, I wasn't some of my self-doubt wasn't like, well, I don't know
Yep.
if they're gonna really buy it. So I would have people that all the time, oh, I love that shirt. And instead of saying, yeah, it's mine, go to my page and buy
Yep.
one. It was kind of like, oh well, for like I'm gonna use this because I'm sure there's other people that's like this. They're doing multiple things, right? So
Yeah.
using myself as an example, I got a podcast, I do coaching, and then I'm selling that
Mm-hmm.
pearl. Those are three different things. And sometimes you feel like, well, how do I do all three at the same
Yes.
time? Back to this doing, trying to do all the things. And it's like,
Yes.
do you so my ex, right? Because I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
somebody wants to know, but if not, I want to know. Do you pick one thing and then is it like an umbrella, or are you intentional about saying, okay, this is my bucket for the podcast. This is my bucket for coaching. This is my bucket for, merchandise.
I would definitely recommend to have those separate buckets, especially if they're not connected in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, you have your Slaying Self Doubt podcast, and if your apparel was about slaying self doubt, that makes sense because it all works together. But if this is my example, because I used to have a skincare business.
Okay.
If I have this skincare business and I have this,
Marketing. Yeah, yeah.
this marketing and analytics business, they want two different things. Their
Yeah.
challenges are completely different. And so you
Mm-hmm.
have to think about your target audience too. It's like if I'm your target audience because I love Slaying Self Doubt podcast, I'm absolutely going to get that hoodie
Right,
because I'm
right.
still working through,
Correct,
my
correct.
self doubt. And I want people to know that. And I love supporting, Black women. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like it depends on your audience and how your business ideas connect to one another.
Okay.
Because if the challenges of your target audience are completely different, people are going to go to your page and be like, now,
What
why
are
this
you
girl talking
doing?
about skincare? Like, why?
Right.
We were just talking about marketing analytics. Why is she talking about skincare? I'm confused.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so then that makes sense. I've seen multiple people, they have like multiple pages, and because I think that, we know, even going back to what God has put inside of us, He's given us
Yeah.
multiple gifts. So it's not
Yes.
that you have to be this one thing. And I think that sometimes, I know one of the things I struggled with in the beginning was like,
Mm-hmm.
God has given me all these ideas. Why can't I just do all the different things? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
some stuff, yeah, you can do, but it's going to come in
Yes.
time. Sometimes you're not supposed to do all things at
Yes.
the same time, right? You just,
Yes.
it's gonna, um, come in increments or whatever. But no, I think that is, and I just had a whole idea in my
Mm-hmm.
head, just because of this conversation. So we gonna link up after this because already in my mind. Because my thing is that that there's I always so slaying self doubt is about every area of your life, and there's some people who are
Yes.
struggling in their businesses and really being able to make a profit because they don't know that information. And you're
Yeah.
talking to some people who are just like, well, girl, all you need to do is look at your numbers. And
It's
that's too much. That's why I said bring it
that's
all the way down.
50,000 feet up there. Yes.
Pretend I'm in the first grade. And some people don't have the patience to be able to tell you. I can't just tell you how to do it. And for me, I'm somebody that's like, I think it's the hardest thing ever, but I did it and I'm grateful that
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I built a whole WordPress website on my own.
Oh God.
I did it through a if anybody's ever used WordPress, it is
More
okay.
power to you.
Yes, it took me months, right? And it was based off of a program that I did that person, that's what they recommended. And I wanted it to look a certain way, but I did I did it. And so
Mm-hmm.
since then though, I've built like 3 other websites
Yeah.
for myself. So guess what? I don't need to pay nobody for it because I know how to do it,
Exactly.
right? And so for
Exactly.
me, I'm one of the people that's like, if you show me how to do it and I'm able to um what's the word? Oh, master it to my level. Like I ain't
Yes.
expecting to be on your level. I need to master it
Exactly.
to the level that I'm comfortable with until I'm in a place to say, get somebody else to do it and I'll pay you.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's
Yes.
like there's certain things that you have to be, but it made me think like, see, this is a conversation that entrepreneurs need to
Yes.
be able to just like ask questions. What's this or what's that?
Yep.
Because the doubt comes in where you're like, I don't even know if this gonna work. And then you give up and you stop doing it and you just be
You
like, you know
either
what? Forget this
yes.
business.
You either give up or you start mimicking other people.
Get out my
And
business.
you are like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. Analysis paralysis. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what, and that's the reason why I'm like fasting social media right now, and
Yeah.
like a lot of content consumption, because you get all of that content and you see all of these people and they making it look easy and they telling you to do this and do this and
Yep.
do that, and you forget, one, you forget to listen to God
Mm,
and ask
mm.
Him exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing.
That part.
You start to conform to what
Mm.
other people are doing and how other people are doing things, and you don't
Y'all don't
show
even
up.
know she just preached when she said conform, okay? Because you're supposed to be transformed and not conform to this
Literally,
world. All right, let me go.
literally,
Okay.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
just conforming to everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to burn yourself out,
Yep.
because the one thing that's exhausting is trying to be somebody else.
Ooh, baby.
And so yes, authenticity and sticking to your passion, sticking to your purpose is what's going to get you to where you need to be. But you need those people and you need those resources around you that can, help you get rid of that self-doubt and help
Yeah.
you, get you to the path that you need to be on. And that's honestly the biggest thing that I'm passionate about. Like when I first met LaShawn and first started being a part of Black Women Hustle, the thing that I told her, I am passionate about helping people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to monetize it because I am dedicating my time
Yeah.
and my expertise and everything that I've gained over the last 13 years. But my passion is just helping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to see my sister struggle when I
Yeah.
know when I have an answer for her and I'm just sitting there like gatekeeping and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Ugh.
I'm gonna help her. She talking about
Listen.
knowing her numbers. She don't even know what numbers is. I know what her numbers are, but I ain't
Yeah.
gonna tell. I'm not about
Yeah.
to do that. I want to help
Yeah.
everybody,
Right. No, that is so no, that's so true. And I think that again, this is where this platform comes in. I remember when God first told me to do it, I'm like, oh, and people ain't gonna be coming on here telling me their business or whatever. But when I've seen the transition and the transformation that has happened,
Mm-hmm.
not only for myself being connected with you all, but also other
Yes.
people who are like, oh, I listened to this episode and this is how I
Yes.
got connected to this person. And I'd be like, oh, me, I'm one of the people. My mother said the other day, she was like, "Oh, I listened to your episode," and I was just like, "What I was talking about?" And she was like, "What the-" and I was like, "I literally be moving on to the next thing. Like I just don't be." I don't know. It just that's just how it just makes it a little bit easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
I do listen to my episodes back, but
Yep.
generally it takes me a while because I've done all the editing. So I think also because I listen to a lot of sermons, worship music, all
Yeah.
types of stuff, it'd be a lot of voices in my head on top of mine. So I
Yes.
just be like, okay, I gotta take away because you hear me in here like I don't know where I heard this from, but and it could be a conversation I had, but I'm doing it so often that I'm like,
Yeah.
bruh, what I don't know. I just can't remember at all. Um, Alicia, thank you so much. I just appreciate your
Yeah.
energy.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your transparency and the conversation that we
Yeah.
had today. I know somebody was um I know this impacted somebody today. Okay. And so if you're listening to it and you want to reach out to Alicia just to thank her for sharing her story or to connect with her in regards to optimize reality, where can they find you?
Yes. First off, thank you so, so much for just giving, people like me the opportunity and the platform to even speak on our experiences and just share how we all have issues with self-doubt. So I really,
Yeah,
really appreciate you.
of
Um,
course.
but you can find me, my website is optimizereality.co. And I'm on Instagram as Optimize Reality as well. So definitely, I would love to, if you listen to this and you feel compelled to DM me, hit me in the DMs. I am going to respond. I love talking to people.
Yes. Well, y'all already know this information is going to be in the show notes so y'all can get connected with her. Again, remember if we are connected by way of the Black Women Hustle app, we both are
Yes.
saying you need to get connected if you are a Black woman, which most of you are, and you are an entrepreneur, which most of you are, or if you're even
Mm-hmm.
thinking about entrepreneurship. I
Yeah.
promise you, this is the app that you need to be able to just get connected with people, but
Mm-hmm.
also the information they just had at the beginning of 2024, a whole prep for 2024 event where they had you were on the panel, right?
So I did the prep and plan course at the end
Okay.
of the year.
Oh, that
That
was the
was
end of the
my
year.
course.
Okay.
Yep.
All
And
right. The end
then
of 2023.
yep. And then I was just a part of like the state of alignment. So I
Okay,
was
yeah,
just,
that's what it was. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But here's the thing. Again, this thing that we love about Alicia, when you are a subject matter expert and she know you
Mm-hmm.
talking about, she gonna put you on, right? She gonna make
Yes.
sure that she is telling like, all right, you know what you're talking about. It's not something I know, so I'm not about like you have too many people that's out
Yes.
here that's gonna tell you about something that they don't know nothing about. Okay, they just tried it yesterday versus somebody who has the
Literally.
expertise and the education to be able to properly inform you and like that's what we need to do. We need to be out here putting each
Yes.
other on. Stop, y'all. Please stop it. It's we too old for that. We too old for it. Okay. But thank you so much, Alicia. I appreciate you for joining us today. Y'all, until next time, keep slaying, sis. See ya. As always, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, you enjoy this channel and you find it valuable, please consider donating by buying me a coffee. Your support will help me to create new content, get an official podcast studio, and ultimately reach more people. That's what we need. We need more people on this movement. Okay. If you're not already signed up to the newsletter, go to my website, www.slayingselfdoubt.com and sign up for the Slayer Nation newsletter. That's where you'll get updates, where you'll get what's going on. You'll get the news first. You don't have to wait until I announce it or hear. Okay. And lastly, well, second to last, please make sure that you share this with at least 10 people. We are trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year, and every subscription, every share counts. So we need it. We need you to send it out to your peoples so they can help us hit our goal this year. Lastly, if you are not already following me on Instagram, you need to go on over there and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Until the next episode, see ya.